This is without question the best enthusiast mechanical dive watch under $300. Here's why. The Seiko SKX used to be the affordable dive watch king, owning the crown for many years with its unique design and very affordable price. However, with the restructuring of Seiko and the discontinuation of the SKX model, prices raised across the board, both on retail side and on the secondary market. This made room for a new watch to enter the frame and become the new affordable dive watch king. Let me introduce you to the Orient Komatsu. This is an original design dive watch with 200 meters of water resistance and an in-house automatic movement. There's so many reasons why this beautiful dive watch is the new sheriff in the affordable watch town. But first, let's take a look at the dimensions and specifications. This model is the Orient Komatsu Generation 1 Burgundy dial, coming in with a full stainless steel case, bezel, crown and bracelet. Even though this is a larger dive watch, it actually wears incredibly well even on smaller wrists. Coming in with a 42mm case diameter, a 13.5mm thickness and a 47mm lug to lug. Typically a 42mm watch would only work on average and larger size wrists. However, the Komatsu is an exception. With the 47mm lug to lug, it means that even small wristed enthusiasts like myself can pull off this dive watch with ease. This is also helped by the negative end links which help the bracelet seamlessly meet the wrist. Speaking of, we have a solid link oyster style bracelet. These feel very solid, comfortable and are adjusted with push pins. The clasp is fully stamped, with plenty of micro adjustment and a double security lock. The end links are hollow, however they integrate with the case very well and have little to no wiggle around the lugs. The experience with the bracelet overall is very comfortable. It fits the aesthetics well and is very easy to get a good fit. We have a screw down crown and case back, of course aiding the 200 meters water resistance, making this a genuine dive watch, meaning it can go deep in the ocean and live to tell the tale. Now flipping the watch over is where the fun really starts. Of course, with all dive watches we have a dive time bezel. The steel coin edge construction has good ergonomics and has larger indents at every 5-minute interval, which adds a nice layer of detail. The insert has a matte finish, which helps reduce glare when directly in the sun. We have a lume pip at the 12 o'clock, made for timing in low light environments. Speaking of, the lume on the Komatsu is ridiculously good, glowing for hours into the night with little to no charge. The colour of the lume could be described as faux, as it resembles the custard colour that tritium lume turns into on vintage watches. The colour of the lume matches the dial very well though, featuring an incredible deep red burgundy dial that changes throughout the day. I've had the pleasure of experiencing tons of watches now, and this is without question one of the most interesting dials I've ever seen. The sunburst red sometimes turns black, deep red and even hints of a burnt orange, allowing the watch to look way more expensive than it costs. This is also helped by the frame date window, highlighting the day-date complication. The Orient logo itself is applied, same with the indices. We do have some printing on the dial with the minute track, branding and the text below the pinion. We have sword style hands with a lovely arrow tip second hand. Tons of detail, looking sharp as a nail, all very well proportioned and working coherently to tell the time. Covering the dial we have one of the most impressive parts of the Komatsu construction. We have a flat piece of scratch proof sapphire. This certainly isn't a rare occurrence, but big brands around this price point, Seiko and Citizen for example, usually use mineral, meaning this really puts this watch a step ahead of the competition. Altogether the dial is incredibly legible. The combination of the lume, size of the indices and hands mean that reading this at a glance is never an issue, especially in low light situations. Not only does the dial have a great level of detail, the finishing of the watch is also fantastic, featuring brushed upper lugs, polished sides and a fully brushed bracelet and clasp. Powering the Orient Komatsu we have the in-house automatic Orient F6922. This is a 22 dual movement beating at 21,600 vibrations per hour, featuring hacking, hand winding and a 40-hour power reserve. This is comparable to the Seiko NH36 movement. Both movements will last a lifetime with servicing every 4 to 8 years, keeping great time and very inexpensive for parts. Overall, the Orient caliber is very reliable. It's fairly quiet on wrist in comparison with Miyota movements and has a fairly smooth manual winding experience. So now we've covered the specs, let's talk about why this watch is the best affordable enthusiast dive watch money can buy. Orient is a proper watch enthusiast manufacturer, making watches out of Japan since the 1950s. It isn't a brand you can just walk into your local shopping mall and pick up from a store. It's a watch that you have to go out of your way to get, meaning that if you see an Orient watch on someone's wrist, you know that they know. This adds to the experience in my opinion, and when you meet someone who knows who Orient is, you can have a good conversation about proper wristwatches. But that's not all. The Komatsu really doesn't have much competition in the affordable watch market. No other big brand can offer an in-house automatic movement with an original design and a sapphire crystal at this price point. To get something like this from Switzerland, you'll be spending a lot more money. Citizen, Seiko, Tissot, Hamilton, Bulova, you name it, they don't have anything that competes with the Komatsu. So when we consider the materials we get, the history and the respect of the Orient brand, the original design, the fit and the finish, we get a seriously good watch for under $300. If you don't like the red version, Orient recently released some beautiful new versions with some new colours and an updated design. Let's take a look at these different versions so that you can find one that fits your style. So from the first generation of Komatsu, my version, we have a few different colours. Firstly, a very inoffensive all black version. This one's probably most suited for a smaller collection, where it will be one of your main watches. Next, we have a teal dial variant with a teal bezel. This one doesn't have as much variation in colour like the red dial I own, but it is certainly a beautiful watch. If you're a blue diver type of guy, then the all blue version will be right down your street. Again, like the black, this is a more sensible option, better for a smaller collection. There's even a version with a two-tone bezel and indices, if you're looking for a watch that is a little bit more flashy. So the second generation of the Komatsu has some new colours and actually a brand new dial layout, ditching the blocky Gen 1 indices and going for a more traditional Rolex Submariner style hour markers. I honestly like both versions. It just comes down to what colour you prefer. Speaking of, with Gen 2 we have some colour gradient dials that fade from a colour in the centre to black at the perimeter. Gen 2 features a burgundy option too, similar to the Gen 1 version but with a less vibrant, more muted colour. There's a lovely tropic dial, which is very interesting and eye-catching. If you want the classic dive watch look, then the Pepsi bezel is the way to go. Finally, we have a teal version, probably my favourite from the Gen 2 Komatsus. Both versions for me are stunning. You can't really make a bad choice. None of them are over the top or look out of place. If you prefer a little bit more originality in your collection, then go with Generation 1. If you like the look of the Submariner's layout and want something similar with a gradient dial, Generation 2 is the way to go. Next, one of the most fun parts about owning a watch for me is switching up the straps from the 22mm lugs and having some fun with the look. Let's have a bit of a fashion show now, showing you what the watch looks like on some different strap options. Of course, let's start off with the bracelet. The watch looks good, classic dive watch aesthetic. This can easily be dressed up or dressed down, going with a suit and tie or t-shirt and jeans. Next up, one of my favourites is the NATO strap. I found this gorgeous burgundy cream and black stitched NATO that complements the colours of the watch so well. This is great to wear with a flannel shirt, going out shopping, hitting the town and having some fun. Of course, a rubber strap is a common companion with a dive watch, which dramatically reduces the weight. I picked up this burgundy strap, which matches the colour of the dial quite well. It actually might be a bit too overload on the deep red, but it's the best option to take in the sea, pool or shower. Easier to dry and less weight on the wrist. A lot easier to adjust than a bracelet too. Finally, if you want to commit the biggest sin and put your diver on a leather strap, here it is on a brown leather. Probably my least favourite of the three. I think a deeper brown leather strap would look better, but this is the only 22mm leather strap I own. The Komatsu is certainly a watch that you can switch straps up and have some fun with. NATOs, leather, canvas and rubbers. Buy plenty of straps and use the best affordable Enthusiast dive watch to its full potential. I'll leave an Amazon affiliate link down in the description if you want to check out this watch. But do some shopping around and be sure to find the best price. If you like this video, then be sure to check out my video here on 10 affordable watches enthusiasts should know.